Peace everyone, Unmask Art here, and welcome to day 10 of Inktober. So real quick, just a little bit of housekeeping here. I didn't get quite as many people sending me pictures from yesterday, so I am not going to share them today. I'm going to kind of hopefully collect a few more pictures from today's Inktober prompt, and then tomorrow I'll gather all those together and share them in tomorrow's stream. But I've already got the sketch laid out here a little bit, but before I get into the drawing, I just want to make sure that everybody's able to find out the time that I'm streaming. So if you go to my channel homepage, shortly after each live stream, I schedule out the next day and I have the time on there. Now the time varies based on my own schedule, and also the fact that I want to vary the times a little bit to give people from different parts of the world a chance to come in and enjoy the streams. So for that reason, the time does change a little bit, but for the most part, during the week, you're probably going to see the streams happening around this time right now. But you can always go to my YouTube homepage to find that. You can also click on the little bell next to the subscription button, and that will notify you when I upload a video or if I'm going live, anything like that. So I just wanted to let everyone know that real quick so that you don't miss the streams. And hopefully I will stop getting messages of people saying or asking when is the stream. The stream is, you know, when it's scheduled for, and it's pretty easy to find, so hopefully you're able to find that. Real quick, hello Kalia, Stephanie, Brenda, Giha, Jay, Wicked, and Wendy. Hello, welcome to day 10. I'm going to start drawing here. So today's prompt is gigantic, and this prompt was a gigantic pain to figure out what I was going to do because I just couldn't quite settle on what I was going to do today. I was thinking about a whole bunch of things, but my original idea was super lame, and I just couldn't commit to it. My original idea was to just draw a giant pair of shoes and then have a character standing next to them, like a normal size character, to put the shoes into perspective as being gigantic. So it was just incredibly dumb idea, and it was just my initial thought when I saw gigantic on the official prompt list. And all day yesterday I was bugging my wife while she was cooking food, or I was cooking food. I don't know. I forget. We were in the kitchen, whatever it was we were doing, probably eating or making food. And I was just bugging her all day yesterday, like telling her I don't know what I'm going to do, I don't know what I'm going to do, and she was trying to help me come up with ideas, and the few ideas that I did end up kind of coming up with, I'm not doing. So the first idea was to do a storyline where for some reason Nugget the slug grows up like really big. Oh, now I remember. He's sitting there eating, and some character, I don't know what this character was supposed to be, so probably why I didn't commit to this idea, is going to be saying to Nugget, eat your vegetables so you grow up big and strong. And then Nugget looks down at his, you know, broccoli or Brussels sprouts or whatever that's in his bowl, and then he goes into kind of this cloud fantasy where he imagines himself really big in like this city or something, like sliming all over the buildings and people running, and that was going to be my idea for gigantic. But a few of the reasons I chose not to do that is, one, I don't know if I've fully recuperated enough to do another manga page because those two previous ones really wore me out. But my second idea, after I kind of, decided not to do that one because I thought it would be too much, was Nugget getting into like a medicine cabinet. And I was gonna do 2, maybe 3 scenes. If I did 3 scenes, this is the way that it would go. The first scene would just be kind of a shelf with Nugget's eyes popping up, and then there would be a bottle of like pills or something sitting on there, and on the name of the pills it'd be like Gigantorex or something stupid. And the next scene would be like the pill bottle knocked over with some of the pills out, and then Nugget would be starting to look deformed as like one eyeball's like super huge and like flop down on the ground because he can't hold it up. And then the next scene would be him fully grown, like busting out of the roof of his house or whatever. And that was kind of my idea for the manga page ideas that I've been coming up with. But again, I obviously I did not commit to that one, and I think the reason I didn't do that one is because I just wanted something that wasn't gonna stress me out too much more. And so I decided to do something a little bit different, as you can see here. And what I'm doing is I'm drawing Nugget coming upon a giant cherry. And just like me, Nugget's favorite fruit, or berry, or whatever you want to call it, fruit, is cherries. And so I thought, why not just to have some fun with a bit of perspective, kind of a 1-point perspective, everything being pulled up towards this way, and having Nugget looking up at this giant cherry in admiration and doing a bit of drooling here. Once I draw his mouth, you'll see him drooling a little bit. But I did this digitally first. I was just kind of working out the perspective because this kind of perspective can actually be quite tricky. And so I was just playing around in Photoshop this morning. But for the most part, I actually kind of took it easy on myself today. I gotta mentally prepare for my Polish class that's coming up tomorrow, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, you can imagine that I'm a bit exhausted from Inktober right now. But I'm still having fun with it, coming up with these insanely weird ideas. But since I'm kind of going easy on myself, I decided that I'm just going to be adding color to everything today. So I got my markers prepared. I got everything ready to color, and that's going to be that. So hopefully I make up for I make up for it a little bit since I'm going to be coloring. Got to draw in his pupils up here a little bit. All right. I'm not going to make the same mistake as I did yesterday and go ahead and flip this over so I don't, when I bleed through with my markers, I don't ruin the next page, because I've actually had to tear out a few pages already, and there was 60 in here, so I have a little bit of cushion room as far as maintaining 31. But before I go on, let me catch up with the live chat here. A lot of people have come in. Brenda Silverne, hello Anna, my unofficial PR coach, and who else? Jennifer, hello Mandy, and Noeticus, welcome. Again, you remind me of Okay, so I remind you of your brother in all my stories. That's funny. The piece today has to do with perspective, a pumpkin and Nugget. Sorry, I'm so addicted to your little slug. Yeah, I'm addicted to him too. It's just fun. Yes, it's definitely time for me to learn some Polish. I've really putting it off way too much. All right, I was gonna keep this. I'm gonna keep this drawing overall fairly what's the word I'm looking for? Simplistic, I guess. So I'm gonna outline it in ink. So I'll do just this initial inking, and then I'll add a little bit of weight to my lines down here at the bottom to help reinforce that sense of perspective. But I hope that everybody so far is enjoying their Tuesdays, or have enjoyed their Tuesdays. I know it's evening, anybody that is east of me, and then morning for everyone that's west of me. So good morning to those that are waking up. Good afternoon to those that live in Europe like I do, or this time zone, whatever. Make sure this time, everyone, you send me your Inktober pieces so that I have a little bit more drawings tomorrow to share. Regardless of how many more drawings I get today, I will still take the time to share everyone's work that I've gotten so far. I just decided to hold off on it today since I didn't get too many, and then hopefully tomorrow that won't be a problem. Originally I wasn't going to outline the cherry. I was just going to start coloring it, but I decided, you know, to keep it a little more cartoonish, I will go ahead and do the outline and kind of keep all the details to the color. Does my wife speak Polish? Yes, very much. She is 100% Polish, I guess you could say. English is her second language, which sometimes, you know, if any one of you have a significant other that, you know, their native language is different than the language that you communicate in, you know, communication can sometimes hit a few speed bumps, and that's certainly a challenge in our relationship, but I think we handle it really well. It was something that we identified together very early on in our relationship, so we get through it okay. I need to get this angle. There. That kind of curve is tough to do with the other direction. There, I think that's good. Now I can start adding a bit more weight to some of my lines. Do I still have family in Ohio? Yes, most of my family still lives in Ohio. My sister, my oldest sister, she actually just recently moved out of her house. Now this is quite the adventure she's going through at the moment, and will be going through for quite some time actually. So she sold her house. Her and her husband sold their house, and essentially traded it in for an RV. And now they just travel around the country for their work. They both her husband had 2 jobs. He quit both of them to work for the same company that my sister works for. And the job that they do is they like set up businesses. I'm not exactly clear, but they go in and it's not necessarily construction, but they set up like the shelves and things of department stores or whatever, something along those lines, something really close to that. And they get sent to new stores that are opening up or renovating all over the country. Excuse me. And so they just packed up in their RV. They travel all around the United States and do this job. And they work together. They work the same hours and everything like that. The company keeps them together as a way to actually save money for the company. So it's really cool. It's really cool. It sounds like quite the adventure. But here's the kicker. They have 5 dogs that live with them in the RV. 4 of them are Yorkies, and one of them is a mixed breed dog that actually just looks like a big Yorkie. Like a medium, like semi-large Yorkie, but with whitish kind of salt and pepper colors. So that's one of my family members that recently escaped Ohio a little bit. My other sister still lives in Ohio with her husband, and I forget the city that they live, but I think it's considered Akron. But yeah, they have 3 kids now. They have 3 kids. My oldest sister, her kids will always and forever just be Yorkies or dogs, and that dogs in general. But oh, hello, Wendy. Thanks for coming by. Oh, I hope everything's okay. But my mom and my dad, they both still live in Ohio as well. So a majority of my immediate family, cousins, and a few relatives that I haven't talked to in like literally a decade or something ridiculous, they live in Ohio as well. I don't have the closest family. We are kind of that. We're the kind of family that are very emotionally independent. We've never really relied on one another for like emotional support. You know, we've always kind of been there, and we care for each other, and we pretty much do anything for each other. But it's all unspoken. We're that kind of family. You know, we're the family that doesn't really say "I love you" too much. Yeah, so I've only spoken to my oldest sister because she's always been like my best friend, most recently, but I don't remember the last time I talked to my other sister or my dad for that matter. It's been a couple months at least. All right, oh, you know what, I forgot, I kind of erased his eyes. The perspective on his eyes was actually kind of tough. It was tough, so I think I'm just going to add a little indication of him looking up, because it's at that angle. You wouldn't really necessarily see where he's looking, but I want it to be somewhat like he's looking at the magnitude of this giant cherry that he's about to dig into. Hey, what's up, Jesse? Hello, Linda and Nikki. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody else. What was the quote today again? So the prompt I think you're referring to is gigantic. All right, so let's see. I know I have quite a few colors. I have my colors organized a little bit. What is this color here? 479. Yeah. So I have my colors organized based on the part of the picture that I'm going to be coloring. So hopefully I don't get them mixed up too much, and I can keep things relatively organized. I forgot his little details down here. I knew I was forgetting something. It just didn't look right. Good morning, Bridget. Welcome. Oh, you're not that late. You're not that late, I mean. 489, 481, okay. So I decided on kind of a, for the colors of our little nugget here. Now, I don't know if I'm going to make these the official colors or not. As far as the t-shirt designing goes, I'm probably actually going to start on that soon. For those of you that are waiting for the nugget digital designs that you can get printed on your mugs and your t-shirts and your hats or whatever it is you wear, I'll try to get the digital design of our little nugget here done also sometime this month and get that up on the website so you guys can have that to purchase and help support the channel. But other than that, I'm not quite sure what colors to make our little nugget here. Now today I decided on, somewhat realistic slug colors, kind of just earth tone browns and kind of a skin tone color. I went through a lot of colors. I was actually thinking blue. I don't know why, but I kind of liked the idea of nugget being blue. So if you guys have any ideas what color nugget might look good as, let me know, because I haven't yet decided fully on what colors I think nugget should be. But as you can see, I decided to color him first here. The cherry is going to be a little bit tricky. I want to put a lot of effort into the cherry to get it looking good. So you found that Inktober is really being challenging yourself with things that I'm not comfortable drawing, architecture, perspective, people. That's a really good thing to do for Inktober, in my opinion. For me, I would say that, I'm not really drawing anything that is challenging me too much. I did those manga pages, but to be honest with you, the challenging part of doing those stories, those little short manga stories, was one, coming up with the idea and executing it in a day. Like that was the hard part for me personally. But nothing that I drew really, pushed the limits of my abilities. I suppose I do so much planning beforehand, regardless of what I'm drawing or coloring, that it's actually kind of rare for me to come across something that is truly just uniquely a challenge to my drawing skills or my abilities. So yeah, I don't come across too many challenges like that too often, but I still do sometimes, every now and again. but I've kind of drawn everything at this point, so everything else that I draw is just kind of repeating something I've done before in some way or another. I mean, any animal with fur is, I approach the same as any other animal I've already drawn that has fur. Any portrait that I draw is the same process of any other portrait that I've colored. So the banana slug, yeah, I went through yellow. I went through yellow, but I wasn't sure about that bright yellow. I don't know. I'll revisit it. I think what I'll do, oh, you know what? I just kind of came up with something. So this is what I'll do. I'll do the inking, right? I'll do the outline or whatever of our little nugget as far as the design of the t-shirt. I'll let everybody, you know, I'll post the line art. So anybody can just download it, you know, just a small file. So not a print size file, but a small one that you could print off on a piece of paper or just trace it or whatever, and color it whatever color you want, send it back to me, and then I'll do my own coloring, a few different versions of my own coloring, and I'll just share them on the live stream before the end of the month, and we'll talk about which colors we like, which colors we don't like, and we'll try to decide on one. Yeah, blue slugs are also in nature. Yeah, I like blues. I like blue. That was the color that I actually first kind of was thinking about, was blue. I don't know why. I'm kind of drawn to our little nugget friend here being blue. So new to drawing that everything is a challenge for me. You know, sometimes when I get the opportunity to look back at some of my really old work, that's what I enjoyed most about that time frame, is that I was so fresh into drawing that everything was a new experience. Whereas now that I've been drawing for like 20 years, I've pretty much drawn everything that people have thrown at me, and so I've been able to apply kind of a library of techniques to all types of different drawings and colorings and whatnot. And yeah, I'm not quite sure where I'm going with that, but it just I guess I don't feel that initial excitement as much anymore. Now with me, it's more about choosing new mediums, because I got into the pastels this year, and I did the pastel portrait not too long ago. Sorry, I was trying to figure out which color I need. I need to color his little fin thingies. I went with more of a pink color with his little fins, I guess. I don't know what to call these things. His slimy, weird feet. I don't know. Does it have names? These little flaps. His flappy feet. I don't know if there's a name for them. I think Nugget is done. I think he's good to go. So I'm going to jump up here to the stem, because that's kind of an easy spot. So I need 3, 8, 6. Orange and brown could be cool colors for Nugget. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I went with him today. A little bit of orange, a little bit of brown, kind of skin tone colors. So I didn't go like super I didn't go super bright. But I'll try to get the line work, the digital line work on him done sometime maybe sometime this coming weekend. I don't want to say sometime this week because I don't know how difficult this well, I kind of already know how difficult this Polish class is going to be, but what I don't know is how fast it's going to be. Like 10 words a day kind of fast. So I don't know how much work each day it's going to be to kind of just keep up with the class. You know, I'm not trying to go up in this class and you know, be teacher's pet or anything like that. I just want some structure when it comes to learning the Polish language. It's not like I need to speak it by next week. The class is a year long, so I'm hoping that it's not like you know, some kind of accelerated learn Polish in a month type thing. I'd rather just it be kind of a slow and steady pace. That way I don't have to feel overwhelmed. I don't know the type of people that normally take this class. I don't know any of the other students that are in it. I'll meet them all tomorrow. So they could be, you know, students at one of the universities and they take the class, or they could, you know, have married a Pole and now they're living in Poland, you know, like me. But yeah, so it will be a very interesting experience. I look forward to sharing that with everyone. It's called a foot, or foot fringe. Okay, foot fringe. That is weird. It makes me think of somebody's foot that has like hair brushed off to the side, like their bangs, like their feet have bangs, like how some people's toes have like a little bit of hair in between the knuckles and they have like a fringe on the toe. That's what that makes me think of. So Nikki, you struggle a bit with shadows. Yeah, when it comes to coloring, I think what a lot of people struggle with is what I refer to as color fear. They're like afraid to apply enough of the color, and what usually ends up happening is because of that color fear. All of their drawings, all of their pictures tend to lose a lot of the contrast that would otherwise be very important to making the image look really, really nice and professional. And the best advice that I can give you to help you kind of get over that fear of applying colors is to establish what your colors are before you start coloring. And what I tend to do all the time is I create color palettes for all of the pieces that I'm coloring. Like I have a color palette for this here, which is why I have just the markers that I know 100% I'm going to be using. I think that it's very unlikely that I will be reaching into my drawer for any marker throughout this entire coloring process, simply because I planned out all of my colors and I know exactly what I'm using. And that I do the same thing. You can ask anybody that comes over to the Patreon, over to my Patreon live streams where I do tutorials every Friday, because I supply them with the color palette that I'm using for everything that I'm doing, everything that I'm working on. So they know exactly what goes into my planning process, and they actually get to benefit from it a little bit. Alright, I'm going to use a bit of this orange 48471. up here on the pedal a little bit, or up here on the stem where it's kind of getting crusty. Yeah, I do have to be a little bit careful of getting real life friends. But actually, from playing Magic every week, I have a couple friends that you know, every time I show up to the game store, they know me. We chat about stuff, and I mean, for the most part, every Sunday, except for the Sundays of this month, I can assure you, I'm not doing anything Sundays this month, but every Sunday that I've been going and hanging out with them, like, I would say I think it's safe to say that I got some real life friends. So I have a few already. For Inktober today, I drew Jack Skellington because I thought he was kind of big. I suppose he could be a giant, depending on what perspective you take, you know? Here's, being afraid to apply your colors. Here's a, you know, you are afraid to apply it because you're afraid of messing it up, right? But without applying it, your work will never look as good as it can. So it's really a double-edged sword, because if you don't do it, you'll never progress, and your artwork will always look amateurish. And you're afraid to do it because you're afraid of messing it up. And the funny thing is, not doing it is keeping your work from ever being great. So you have two choices. You can continue to just let your work look as it does, and trust me, you know, doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome is not going to help you progress artistically. So, you know, do a study. That's why you do studies. You know, you pick a somewhat difficult subject, or maybe even a simple subject, and you push the limits of what you think you should do. You know, make a color chart. I have a few tutorials on YouTube here that you can check out that are just drawing like oranges, or I have actually a cherry tutorial that a few people have sent me, and they said that it's helped them out a lot. You can follow that. I have the color chart available to you on the screen, so you can just look at it to see the colors I'm using. You can watch me apply it as well, and I explain why I'm doing it and where I'm doing it and all that stuff. So, you know, just push yourself a little bit, and I think that when the time comes, you'll finish a piece that you know, kind of faced your fear of applying the colors, and it will pay off in the end. So try not to hold yourself back too much, because it's once you surpass that, like once you get past that fear, that initial fear, your work just will get so much better. Actually, this isn't an apple, it's a cherry. Yes, Mandy, I do play Magic. Yes, I play Magic. I actually got into playing Magic just this past summer. I was originally introduced to it in high school by a couple friends. I never owned my own cards or anything, but I was looking for a way to get out into the public a little bit here in Poland, and meet some people, and hopefully practice Polish a little bit too. So I got into Magic, just started buying cards, and the Magic community here in Poland is actually pretty good, pretty large. There's a really nice card store where I can just go get pretty much any card that I need for any deck that I'm building. And then there's just a really nice game store that's just a tram ride away, and every Sunday we play in tournaments. Friday Night Magic, though I don't do Friday Night Magic because I don't like the kind of people that show up to it. But the Sunday tournaments usually has just the people that I like. They even do some of the Pro Tour qualifiers at the game store here. So. Oh, hello, Chrissy. Glad to see that you made it up late again. I can see. Alright, so to do a bit of texture on my stem here, I'm just gonna add some dots of this darker green. You can actually get quite a lot of realism out of markers. I have a few drawings dedicated specifically to markers on my YouTube channel. Couple of my favorites. One of my favorites is the very blue portrait. I still have that on my Patreon page for some odd reason. I don't know why. Really need to update that video. Yes, Anastasia, today is a colored piece. I decided to draw something a little bit easier, something that's not going to take me as long, I guess is the way I should describe it. And for that reason I decided, you know what, if I'm going to go easy on myself today, then I might as well color it. So that's what I'm doing. And hopefully it doesn't turn out too terrible. So you guys let me know what you're drawing for today. A few of you had already told me, but anybody else working on something? I'd certainly like to know what it is. And if you do finish something, make sure that you send it to me over on Facebook. I always have that link in the description, so feel free to send it to me. And today, like a few of you may know, today I did not share any drawings because I didn't get very many. So make sure you send them to me so that tomorrow I can share them. Alright, I think I don't want to do too much of this shading here, but maybe a little bit. There, I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's good for the stem. Now I'm going to start on the actual cherry here. 479. Where's 479? Yeah. Let people know where they need to send those pictures. So you send them to me over on my art page. The link that you'll click on will take you to my fan page over on Facebook, and you just simply message those pictures to me right there on Facebook. Thanks for looking out on it. You're always looking out for me. Uh, 624. 624. Do I ever find myself working a piece to death? You just keep fussing with it until you've killed it? That's a good question. Not in any recent time frame have I really done that. However, I have had a piece recently, and a few of you that support me over on Patreon are probably somewhat aware of this, but over on Patreon I did a colored pencil tutorial for a bear, and I actually worked on it a little bit for the drawing journal here on YouTube like a month ago or something along those lines, and I never shared the time lapse of it because I was so disappointed in the way that it came out. It wasn't because I overworked it. It was because I rushed it. There was a lot of detail that I rushed through for the sake of, ironically, for the sake of doing a tutorial. And because I live stream all of my tutorials on Patreon, sometimes I get a little ahead of myself, I suppose, and I rush a bit too much. And for that reason, the bear drawing was nothing shy of a disappointment, to me anyway. And for that reason, I actually never really finished it. I had it hanging on my wall for some time, because I always wanted to finish it, but I hated the way it looked so much that I ended up just putting it away in my drawer so that I didn't have to look at it anymore. And the odds are I will never fully finish that drawing because it's just it would just be a waste. I had the time lapse of it and everything. I actually think I still have the time lapse, but I'm never going to share it because I don't like it. I've actually had a few drawings that has happened to me with, simply due to the nature of rushing. And if you're familiar with colored pencils, if you rush work with colored pencil, that is a fatal mistake to the artwork. I just didn't have the patience during the time that I was working on a few of these pieces, and for that reason it ended up just being a colossal waste of time, because not only do I not like the final outcome, but I also don't share it with anybody because it's so disappointing. 485. Where is this color? Excuse me. You're probably looking at my cherry at this moment and wondering, why is your cherry purple? And the truth is, these are just going to be the base colors. I'm going to blend all these colors together. Now, I'm pretty sure that this paper is not going to be too friendly to the blending of my markers. And I'm just kind of risking it a bit. But hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me. Because, yeah, because this is supposed to be a cherry, and I don't want to have to use colored pencils to finish off getting the colors the way that I want them to look. So I'm just going to use the markers and get the base colors in, and then hopefully with a few layers and a bit of blending, I can get the markers to cooperate a little bit better, because I noticed that since doing some markers on this paper already, not colors but just the grays, this paper is it changes the color of the marker so badly, because it makes it kind of washed out a little bit, but it also it doesn't retain the value, the correct value. So my grays, a lot of them just look the same for no reason. Oh, sorry, did I miss a few questions? I was sitting here coloring, I totally forgot. Do I ever... Oh, that's a question I already asked, okay, or answered. Not doing Inktober, but painting a unicorn sculpture. That sounds awesome. Gigantic, all you could think of was Iron Giant. You know, I actually was strongly considering doing Iron Giant. For Gigantic, though, that wasn't my first thought. Yeah, it was definitely a thought that came into my mind. I really liked the Iron Giant movie. I wish it got a little bit more attention. It certainly deserves more attention because it's such a great movie. But yeah. That would have been that would be a good idea for today's prompt, I think. There, now my cherry's starting to look a little bit red. Yeah, so a few of you understand what I mean by rushing. I made a video, I don't know, a couple years ago or something like that, like 5 ways to improve your artwork. And the number one way, and I still believe this, by the way, the number one way that I've always found to improve your artwork is simply by adding patience to whatever it is you're working on. Yeah, definitely when I'm live streaming for Inktober, there's a little bit of a time crunch because I need to get it done in a reasonable amount of time. A lot of you probably could listen to me all day, but yeah, I can't just appeal to you guys, unfortunately. And I also need to like do other things like the dishes. I really need to start doing the dishes before I start the live stream, so I'm not talking about dishes every day. But I do have some dishes I need to do. It's reflection. It's the reflection of our little nugget here in the cherry. If you can see that. I might need to make it a bit darker. Oh wait, I still need this color. Please put some protective paper under that paper so that the one under it does not get color. Well, there's only my desk under it, so we're all good here. But thanks. Oh, hello, Parek. Didn't see you come in. Yeah, the Iron Giant is definitely a must-watch movie. Totally agree. Yeah, patience. Patience with your artwork. Oh goodness, I can't stress the importance of that enough. That is what makes or breaks anything that I do. Although I also have to mention that some of the pieces that I was most patient with and I applied myself the most intimately with are the pieces that, you know, nobody looks at, the pieces that nobody mentions or anything like that. And so it's more of a personal thing, I guess, for me than it is about, you know, creating artwork that other people are going to really appreciate or like, because I don't know how many times I've said it, but people tend to really like the pieces I like the least, and it very rarely goes the other direction, where people like what I like to the degree that I like it. So it's just all over the place, and yeah, I can't figure it out. I cannot figure it out for the life of me. But a lot of the times when I'm working, when I'm doing artwork, the feeling that I'm looking for is that feeling of enjoyment where I don't have any desire to rush the piece, because I'm enjoying the slow process that I'm creating through whatever medium. And that's the feeling that I like to search for when I'm working on something. And the new portrait that I've been putting work in on is definitely part of that. I've had a lot of fun working on the portrait tutorial that I'm doing over on Patreon right now. A few of you have already, you know, seen me working on it, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, hello, Steve. Good morning to you. Well, Niam, yeah, not following the official Inktober prompts, you know, that's totally cool in my opinion. The only reason I'm following the official prompts is because it's actually less work for me. I don't have to think up something random for 31 days. Now, if I participate next year, I probably won't follow the official prompts. They're kind of fun this year, and it definitely pushes me to think outside the box a little bit, because some of the words are just, I feel like they're just totally random. Some of them are even verbs, and rather than adjectives. Adjectives I find are a little bit easier than verbs. But yeah, for me personally, doing the Inktober has nothing to do about what prompts you follow, but just having fun and learning. I don't care if you're painting or doing digital art or anything like that. I mean, you can't really call it Inktober if you're not using ink, but you can do any 30-day challenge that you want, and as long as you're putting in the effort and trying your best and having fun, that's 90% of the reason I'm doing this right now. Thought it'd be kind of a fun little project to work on. And the live streaming of it is, oh my gosh, a little scary, truthfully. I didn't realize how difficult it was actually going to be for me, because many of you already are familiar with my live streams. I did them every Monday up to this point, and every time I finished the live stream, and sometimes like on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Thursday or something, I was like, man, I should just set up and start live streaming again. And I'll probably do that a little bit more of that once Inktober is actually done. But for now, the everyday thing is definitely the biggest challenge for me, because like I said, all the things that I'm drawing for this aren't really the greatest challenge in the world. It's more about the timing, having to do it all in a certain amount of time. I kind of want to create my own monthly challenge, and I alluded to this on one of the previous live streams here. And the idea would be, instead of drawing one thing every day, you would work on a single project every day for an entire month. So no matter what it is that you are working on, you're doing something that you're doing one big project, and no matter what you add to it each day, you have to continue adding to it. So you have to find new ways to change it, to modify it, to make it different than the day before. And I thought that would kind of be a cool challenge, to just complete a major project, because doing the daily challenge, you're completing one small thing in a single day, whereas if you were to kind of switch that challenge around to where you need to do one large thing over the span of an entire month, I feel like that's something a lot of people would actually struggle with more than doing a daily project, simply because we usually choose projects. A lot of us most likely choose projects that maybe take us 20 hours or something, and that's like our big project. But I mean, could you imagine what kind of masterpiece that you would put together if you spent just a little bit of time every single day, adding some new element to it, just some new detail. I mean, imagine creating a piece on, let's say 18 by 24. That's probably the size I would choose, or something similar to that, maybe like 14 by 17. And let's just say I spend the first 20 days of a month just sketching out some crazy, insane idea in pencil, right? And then I spend the following 10 days inking it. Like this, and this is just an example. Maybe you spend the first 10 days drawing this insanely detailed sketch. You spend the next 10 days inking all of it, and then you spend the following 10 days coloring it. You know, could you imagine how insanely detailed a piece that you spend one tiny day on through the span of an entire month? How much detail and how proud of that one piece that you would be at the end of the month. Like, and no matter how many times you feel like you've messed up or you ruined the piece throughout the month, you continue to work on it and just add something new to it. I think it would be totally rad. And it also gives you a new perspective on, you know, creating a really large project, because sometimes those large projects are what people struggle with the most. I kind of finished. I wasn't really thinking about it, but I'm kind of done. What do you guys think of my cherry? I know I'm kind of zoomed in a little bit. Do you guys like my cherry? Does it look like a cherry? You gotta let me know. I think I'm gonna actually color the ground with the green grass. So you saw a post on Facebook group which was something similar in terms of time ratio. It was a candy shop and colored pencils. It looked too real. That is your next Inktober picture, or Masterpiece November. Now I don't think I would try to take over November. Oh, Steve, you thought it was an apple? Nah, it's definitely a cherry, my friend. It is definitely a cherry. Yeah, I was thinking like maybe next year, like January, February time frame. I don't feel like there's any big challenges happening during that time of the year. So maybe like a January or February challenge where, you know, you pick a big piece of paper, like minimum size, like a minimum size of like 14 by 17 or something, like A3 or A2 even maybe, and you just create something insane. So what are my plans after Inktober? That's a good question. My plans after Inktober is to actually start planning my next course. And I mentioned this, I think, a couple days ago. I want to do a colored pencil course a bit more advanced than the Intro to Color Pencil course that I did recently. Just recently, actually, just a few days ago, or last week, something along those lines. And I want to do a colored pencil course on coloring a portrait. And I want to go into like more detail than I've ever went, so that I can fully explain my thought process, and it would probably be somewhere around 8 to 10 hours long. I think I would most likely skip the background, or if I did a background, it would be a flat background where it would just be kind of the traditional colored background where it has the vignette and a subtle color, something classical looking. But I think that's what I'd like to start working on. I kind of already have the gears running a little bit. I'm actually motivating myself a little bit to start looking for the actual picture that I want to work from to do that course. But that's the project that I most likely like to start after Inktober is complete. Yeah, I don't know. That's something that's still kind of up in the air as far as whether or not I'm going to do it or not. I had a few people that really liked the idea, so but I can't put in that amount of time to really satisfy just 2 people. A lot of people was showing interest in my Intro to Colored Pencil course, and my portrait course would, you know, I don't feel like there's as many people that are interested in doing portraits and colored pencil as there are people interested in doing animals. And I also considered the idea of maybe doing a colored pencil course to cover animals, but I don't know. There's so much more. I feel like there's so much more variety when it comes to animals in techniques and things like that, and I kind of worry about doing like a single course for one particular furry animal. But what if it's not a furry animal, if it's a snake or something like that? So there's a whole bunch of kind of ideas running in my head. I really like that question. I enjoy talking about it because I'm always trying to plan the next thing. So yeah, thanks for getting me to think about it a little bit more, verbalize it, kind of get your guys' opinion on it, because it helps me plan the next step, really, when you guys respond to the ideas. Anyways, that is going to be it for today. Hopefully you liked the colored piece for today. Like I said, a bit easier, not too much going on here as far as technical ability, but fun nonetheless. And yeah, it was nice to bring out some colors for you guys today, so hope you enjoyed that at the very least. Again, if you are looking for the time in which tomorrow's live stream is going to be, I'm going to be posting that shortly right after this stream. Give me about an hour or something like that. For those of you that watch this stream later, most likely it will already be available. You can find it on the home page of my YouTube channel. You can also click on the little bell to get notified. But tomorrow's live stream is actually going to be the same time as it was today, so 1500 Central European time, or 900 9 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think tomorrow's prompt is run, so I don't have anything planned yet, so I need to get on that. But thank you all again for coming to the live stream. I love doing these every day. I wish that I could do it every day, just every day period, but I probably wouldn't be able to keep up with that. But I've been enjoying it so far, and we're a third of the way done. Tomorrow's the 11th, so we're getting through it. So keep up. Don't forget to send me your pictures over on Facebook as well, so that I can share those on tomorrow's live stream. And that's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Everybody, take care. Peace.